As you walk on by, when you call my name. That's as much singing as you're going to get out of me because I can't sing. Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. We're going to be doing a more traditional art stream tonight. I know my last two have been kind of what I guess you could generously call teaching episodes that were aimed at younger audiences. This is going to be a standard art stream, a more adult-oriented stream. We're going to get back to the eyeballs now that the rip disc is done. I will be posting that to Behance probably in the next few days. But I want to get back to the eyeballs that we haven't done in a while because kind of got replaced by other things. Let me get a sip of water really quick. I always forget to do this before I start recording. Or streaming, not recording. Although I guess the stream is being recorded. Therefore, it is both streaming and recording. By the way, I think I've mentioned this before, but if I have not, I do take all the Twitch streams and place them onto the show's YouTube channel. So because I know that Twitch only archives streams for, I think, 60 days on non-paid accounts. So if it's after 60 days and you remember that there was something that you liked watching, or for whatever reason you want to revisit an older stream, you can go over to the YouTube channel for the page, which I believe is, I've never actually looked at how. I think it's, let's see, it's a good question. How do you get to it? I suppose I should know that. So let me actually, since we're in the little kind of pre-game... Ow, man, I got nailed by a mosquito on my leg, and I keep thinking it's a standard itch and scratching it way too hard, and it doesn't feel great. Let me just find out how you would get to that, because I think there is a short URL you can use. Like I said, just in case. I don't know that anybody would want to watch these after they're actually live. It looks like it is... How do you do... Where is the... I actually don't know how you... I don't know what the short thing for that is. Is it just youtube.com/ and the channel name? Not really sure, to be honest. Yes, it is. Okay. Or wait. Wait a minute. No, that's not right. Oh, what is that? Jeez, that's like a different thing. Man, that's really... Wow. I don't even know what that is. That is definitely a channel that I created, but I don't know what it is. I have no idea what that is. Well, anyway, if you go to the show page, you go to ozonightmare.com ozonightmare.com, and you look for the YouTube link there. That will take you to the page, and I am putting these streams. They're a little bit delayed. I'm kind of staggering them because I just don't want to dump everything there at once, so I kind of dole them out a little bit. So they're always a little bit behind, but they are there. And to my knowledge, YouTube doesn't archive anything, so you could watch these whenever you want. But anyway, so just in case anybody remembers that they want to watch an old stream or whatever, or watch them rapid fire, which I can't really imagine, but, some people might like doing that. So let me adjust myself in my chair here. My new chair, which is working out very well, I'm happy to say. I like this chair quite a bit. It's making me sit up straighter, which I think is a good thing. My old chair kind of had my old chair was a cheap chair. So I just kind of would slouch, which I know is bad for you. Not good for posture. Lucked out in that I'm okay standing for long periods of time, so it's not a big deal because I try not to sit too long in general, but it does help to have a chair that encourages good posture because I don't want to end up with a completely mangled back. I've been very lucky. Extraordinarily, knocking on wood, whatever, magic rabbit foot thing. Exceptionally lucky in that I've never had any major knee problems or major back problems or major neck problems. So some of that was no doubt the benefit of being young. That time is over. So now I'm trying to not do anything that might damage anything that I want to be intact later in life. So I've been lucky this far. Now it's time to be smart. So got a nice chair that's got a lumbar thing on it and, makes me sit up straighter. Just trying to do things that are smart because youth is not going to shield me any longer. Okay, we're at the 5-minute mark. Let's go ahead and roll the opening credits. So, yeah. So we're going to get back to our eyeballs. The old eyeballs. And we'll do a little bit of that tonight. And I'm going to talk a bit about Star Trek Strange New Worlds because... Actually, I want to talk about two things. Oh, no, I forgot her name. I found a musician today who apparently was a new... I should look up what her name is. I feel bad if I don't know what it is. I'm going to mention her. And if I don't have her name, that makes me a really bad person. Because it's not really... There's no point in talking about somebody excitedly if you can't point out who it was. So let me... open the completely wrong thing. All right, let's switch here. There we go. All right, let me say this up front so I make sure I get it right. So where is... Here it is. I will tell you the artist name. There's our eyeballs. Let's see. Where would it be? It would probably be in... Not recently added, recently played. Okay, the woman's name, I'll do this up front, is Pauline Anna Strom. So last name is S-T-R-O-M. Pauline Anna S-T-R-O-M. I was listening to the album Trans Millennium Music. Now, apparently this is an individual who got big into ambient synth music and then got very disillusioned at the music industry. Oh, there's a shocker. The music industry isn't a great place for creative people to be long-term. And kind of quit, I guess, just quit everything. But she made several albums, and I was listening one day, and it was phenomenal. So I thought I would point that out. Okay, let's jump in here. So here's our eyeballs, which we haven't looked at in quite a while. So now I have to kind of reorient myself to where we are. So I was doing... So there's the black levels. Okay, so I think at this point, I probably don't need... I don't really need the guide on anymore, I don't think. I can turn that off for now so that we could just observe our blobular eyeballs unrestricted, as it were. Let's see what we want to do. There's a couple different things here. So let's do, because we have our light coming from the bottom, we're going to make the blobs not shiny and gelatinous, because otherwise we would just have shininess all over the place. So we're going to keep them pretty matte. We're going to keep them kind of rougher. We already did the red eyeball, so we know that's happening. Let's go ahead and color our eyeballs in, because that's a fun thing to start out with. Something easy going. Let's see what the size of that is. Oh no, that's good. So let's go ahead and do some eyeball coloration, just to get a little bit of color happening here. Yeah. So actually, you know what? Eyeball coloring really doesn't. We'll come back to that. That's not as fun to watch. Just color isn't as fun to watch. So let's go to our detail layers. Okay, so shadow lines. Oh, good, I named things. Look at that, I named things. Shadow lines, blob lines. Okay, so we're going to need a new group. New group coming up. Let's put a couple layers. Let's group them up, and we're going to call these details. Right, okay, so now let's grab a layer. Let's go to true black, which I say because there's this, which isn't really black. It's kind of a dark gray. So I call true black dead zero, which is right there. My favorite color for pen work. Dead black. Okay, so we're going to do some accent lines here. So let's think about what we want to do. We kind of just want to emphasize the bulbousness of this thing. It's kind of... So what we want to do is put some... Let's see what the size is there. It's a little small. I want to make that line equal to these. Yeah, that's right. So we're going to put some other kind of bumps and, bumpiness in this, kind of folding off of this. We curve some... Oh, not like that, though. Always curve from off screen if you want it to look subtle. See, like that? We're going to kind of make it like some of these folds are kind of exploding out or, expanding out a little bit. So we're going to do stuff like that. Let's see here. And we'll just have this ripple out like that. Not everything has to be completely off the thing. We can have stuff that's like this that just kind of ridges around. We can have some of that. We're going to do a little bit of this. Have some of that there. And these are not going to be the only lines, but these are these are meant to kind of emphasize the bulbousness of things. I don't know if I want to have pocket. Yeah, I guess I do. It actually looks all right. So we're going to do something like that. So we'll do that. Kind of, yeah, there we go. We're getting some kind of fatty pockets, I guess. I don't know what other word there would be for them. So we'll do some of this. Coming over there. I used to draw brains a lot. You do this kind of thing with it with the ridges and stuff. It's fun. I like drawing brains from certain angles. There's actually one good picture I did of traditional pen and ink of a brain that I should really digitize out because it's a pretty good brain, actually. Not a bad brain. Far better brain than the one existing between my ears, no doubt. Let's see. Let's do a little bit of, we don't have to have them all have intersecting lines, but I kind of like the idea of some of them doing that so that you have that idea of, folds and pockets and that kind of thing. This is all just simple line work stuff. There's nothing really too intricate here. See, and already that just gives more personality compared to the blank ones. It just makes it look like it's kind of squishy and like jammed together. Claustrophobic, I guess. Bleh, icky. Whatever. So we'll just do some simple lines here. Again, nothing too complex. Sorry, I'm trying to get myself out of doing the whatever you want to call them, the teaching things. I got very used to trying to be encouraging and try to, talk very positively so that you don't want kids to feel like there's a right and wrong way to draw. That I think is absolutely the worst thing in the world, is to have this idea that there is a right or wrong way to draw, especially when kids are young. Whatever. The point I kept trying to make was draw whatever you want to draw, because I think, it really is important to just be encouraging, which is not to say that every child who knows how to draw is going to grow up and be the next Salvador Dali. Obviously most won't, but that also shouldn't be the point of creativity and self-expression. The idea should be to try to get out those things that are unique to you, and everybody has that. Everybody has things about them and ways of seeing the world that are unique and different because of both biological and environmental reasons, meaning the way your brain is constructed and the way you see the world, as well as the environments that you grew up around and the people that were around you, can be hugely influential on how your view of the world is formed. So I think with kids, it's really important to just let them do whatever they're going to do. I got lucky that way because by and large, outside of a couple of cases where, and I've told this story before, so I won't tell the whole thing again, where my dad was afraid that I wasn't going to have any kind of job prospects if I was an artist. But outside of that, my parents were very encouraging of it. They really were. And some of that was probably because there aren't, my family isn't full of artists. At least not, my grandmother, who died when I was pretty young, so I was never old enough to really appreciate her properly. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't bad or anything to her, but when you're very young, you don't have a proper appreciation of older people in your life. Generally, at least I didn't, and most of the people I know didn't. It's only when you're older and you realize that these people have, in some cases, wealth of knowledge and experience that it would be, I'm not going to do two of those right next to each other, that it'd be fascinating to actually be able to explore and understand. A lot of times, by the time you make that realization, those people are gone, which was exactly the case with my grandparents, at least on my dad's side. My mom's grandparents survived longer, but they were not creative. They were kind of more classic, middle class, types, but no artistic stuff that I was aware of anyway, at least not that I ever saw evidence of. Whereas my grandmother, my understanding is she actually did draw. I do remember in her house seeing what I think was a painting of some kind, and was told that she had done it. And that does seem to be a kind of a common thing, actually. Not to turn it into a regional thing, but it's funny because hold on a minute, I just realized I missed a spot of black here. Let me get this fixed. Because I've run into a lot of other Italians who have grandmothers who they found out much later were artistic in some way, which is just kind of fascinating. I don't know if there's any kind of, anything to be necessarily divined from that. I'm not saying that means that all Italian grandmothers are somehow artistic, but it is funny how many I find out, from people I know who are Italian, and they have grandmothers who they found out did artwork of some kind. It's just kind of interesting. But again, I'm not trying to suggest any direct causal relationship there. I think it's just kind of funny because the classic idea of the Italian grandmother, at least in American pop culture, is somebody who cooks a lot, which was also true. I certainly never had to worry about eating at my grandmother's house. My grandmother, in fact, said something that's also a pretty common phrase I hear a lot, which is that ice cream is good for you because it's dairy. Not something I ever argued with as a portly teenager and child. I enjoy ice cream still. Fortunately, as an adult, I moderate it a little bit better. But I do like ice cream. I like chocolate ice cream. I don't like vanilla ice cream. I don't understand vanilla ice cream. Which, whatever. If you like it. My wife likes vanilla ice cream quite a bit. I can't understand it. To me, it has no flavor. French vanilla, yeah, okay. French vanilla, I can get on board with that. But just normal vanilla, no. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Bland to me. A base for certain, yes. You can use it to make other flavored types of milkshakes and stuff like that. But the reason it works so well for that is because it inherently doesn't have any flavor. So it sort of proves the point in its own versatility. It doesn't have any flavor. That's okay, though. Like whatever you like. So, let's talk a little bit about Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about it. I'm not going to spend the whole stream talking about it because I am planning to do a dedicated show on that with Michael Fisher, who some may know as Mr. Mobile. That was something we've been discussing for a while, but I was really, really adamant. I said, no, let's wait till the show's over so that we can really dive into it, because I feel like I felt like if this show was as good as its potential, then there would be plenty to fill a whole episode with. And it does appear that we're going to be doing exactly that, because Strange New Worlds, as a brief summary, is phenomenally good. Simple as that. It's phenomenally good. The season finale just aired today, or was released. I don't think saying aired is... Oh, pardon me, that came out of nowhere. I don't think saying aired is accurate for streaming now. Oh, please don't tell me I got the hiccups. Okay, it went away. That would not be great for a stream. Constant hic. And not that I've been drinking or anything. It just seemed like sometimes when you get kind of a hitch or whatever in your lungs, well, it's either COVID, which it isn't in this case. I was just tested. I know it's not. Well, I don't know it's not that, but I don't think it's that. But, I always have this thing where I'm like, 50-50, it's going to become a hiccuping session. Oh, I saw it. Don't worry, everybody. I got it. Let's hit that. So, yeah, Strange New Worlds, the finale aired today. I have updated that background skull picture, by the way, so that is going to get fixed. Just waiting. There we are. And it was every bit as good as I hoped it would be. I think this show is, it seemed for a while that maybe Paramount had made a mistake in just putting all its eggs into a million Star Trek baskets. I think there was concern over that, myself included, that, oh boy, they're really going to just try to milk this thing out, and it might not be good. But, you know what? Strange New Worlds is the validation of the bet, because even if every other series has been lesser, which I think Discovery is a debatable... That's a debatable topic. I don't dislike Discovery the way some others do, but I do recognize that it's hard to describe exactly what's going on with Discovery, but I think that show would have benefited from doing bottle episode type stuff, more episodic, less serial stuff for at least one season in there. Maybe because season one was very good, season 2 was even better, season 3 was fine, and then after that it started to feel a little bit like it was recycling. It's not its stories, that wouldn't be fair, but its momentum just felt very uninspired. It felt kind of very familiar. It felt like it was retreading a lot of things. And I wonder if they would not have benefited. I mean, the show's still on, so I'm not saying it like it was canceled. But I think that show could benefit from... Man, I really messed that line up. Would benefit from borrowing a little bit of what Strange New Worlds does. Don't try to become Strange New Worlds. I don't mind serial storytelling. I think there's a place for it, and I think Discovery has done it well. But I also think maybe it's time for them to take a break from it. So I don't know. That's just an opinion of mine. You know, you may disagree. And I certainly am not, as I said, as down on Discovery as some people are. Some people are really... I'm going to adjust the mic a little bit. I feel like maybe I'm a little low. That's better. I feel like some people really, really just decided to hate Discovery, and I definitely don't. I still think Discovery has a lot of quality to it, and I think it still has a lot of potential left. But I think it also would not be the worst thing for that show to maybe just kind of, you know, take a break from the big super storylines for a bit and do a small season. Kind of borrow a page from Voyager, perhaps, where the ship gets stuck somewhere and they kind of have to figure their way out of it. As I've said many times, I find Voyager was not as terrible. Also, kind of a similar Discovery thing. Voyager is not as bad as its reputation is. I think it was disappointing at the time because it was up against... It had followed Next Gen, which an impossible act to follow on its own, and Deep Space Nine. Now, honestly, let's just be straight with each other about this. I don't think any show was going to be able to make up for the immensely well-received pairing of, and don't get me wrong, there were people who didn't like and still don't like Deep Space Nine. They find it's too serious. So even Deep Space Nine, which many people would say is among the best that Trek produced, is not universally loved either. I love it. I think Deep Space Nine was fantastic. I'm rewatching it now. The only bad thing about Deep Space Nine is you know that it's going to get bad. You know that the kind of the fun, lighter stuff is not going to last. That war is coming. But you know what? Perhaps more than anybody may have anticipated, that show feels eerily fitting for this moment in time, at least in the United States. But I know that people overseas in Britain are also having some not great moments. So, you know, it sort of feels like the whole angle of Deep Space Nine is more prescient than it might even have been at the time. Because I'm sure, you know, it was obviously allegory for a number of things. But one of them certainly would be the danger of, I don't know, having everything being run by religions and making people conform to a certain belief system and militarism and the toll of wars and violence. I don't know. Just saying, it seems like maybe there's lessons to be learned from Deep Space Nine even now. But I won't go too far down that road. Sorry, there's a hair on this thing. Where is it? I just saw it. Did it go? Got it. There we go. I don't know where it was coming from, but I got rid of it. So yeah, Deep Space Nine. So Voyager had that was a tough hill to climb. And you know, I also think there was elements of people just being upset that there was a female captain, which whatever. I mean, that stupidity is still persistent, I'm sorry to say. Janeway was not a bad captain. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were bad episodes. There absolutely were bad episodes, but I don't blame Catherine Mulgrew, I think was her name. I have no problem with her as an actress. You can have problems with the storylines, and I do. I think the Year in Hell, or Year of Hell, whichever it was supposed to be called, was one of the most squandered of potential ideas for Voyager. They absolutely did not commit to that idea, which I think was, I mean, why? Why would you not when you had the perfect... It would be as if they didn't do the Dominion stuff in Deep Space Nine. When you have that perfect setup, when you've established characters and the premise of the show is supposed to be stretching the ideals of the Federation, why not stretch the ideals of the Federation in a real way as opposed to what they ended up doing, which was largely just name-checking the things that they were going to explore in that vein. and it just didn't end up feeling that good. Anyway, sorry, I was talking about Strange New Worlds and I got off topic, massively off topic. Strange New Worlds is a beautiful return to an older style of Star Trek that is less concerned about season-long plots or trying to reinvent anything, and instead is a wonderful evolution of the original series approach to things, which I think is... I really have zero complaints about season 1. My only actually, I do have one complaint. It's too short. 10 episodes was not enough. However, when a show looks this good, I understand that the way that you want to do it is to put the budget into it and make everything look as good as possible. I think it looked phenomenal. I think they got really good people for it. I think that Anson Mount, as is no surprise after seeing him on Discovery, is absolutely a person you can build a multiple year show around. His Pike is wonderful and distinct from other captains that have come before, so he doesn't feel like he's a copy or an imitation or kind of an attempt to blend. I mean, I guess he is sort of a blending of Picard and Kirk in some ways, but not in a way that feels like, okay, they just decided to blend Picard and Kirk. It feels very, very smooth and natural and well done, and he's just fantastic. There is no other phrase for it. And in fact, I really can't tell you anybody on that show who I think didn't do a good job. I don't recall the actor's name offhand, but the individual... Oh, wait. Who's playing Spock? Is his name? No, I'll probably get it wrong. I'm not even going to try to guess. I'll probably guess way off the mark. Anyway, whoever the guy who's playing Spock is, it was funny because in the first maybe episode or two, I wasn't convinced. Even though he had been on Discovery as Spock, that was a very different Spock. This was now channeling, the original Spock. This is a character that we do know and isn't supposed to be some alternate version of. So that's a tough thing to do with something like Mr. Spock, who is a well-known and well-loved quantity. So that's not easy to try to attempt to make your own, because you can't go too far in a unique direction or people will say this is not Mr. Spock. Which, fair or unfair, that's just the way it goes. I mean, and you must know that stepping into this kind of role. You have to know that you're going to have a large set of shoes to attempt to fill. Especially because you don't have Leonard Nimoy. That's one thing that Zachary Quinto in the movies there was sort of an implicit blessing of Leonard Nimoy because he appeared in the films. So that helps. When you are playing a hugely followed and loved character, and the person who defined that character is there to kind of, not necessarily pass the torch would be the wrong phrase, but to, whether it's simply by implication or explicit affirmation, say, yes, this person is worthy of taking on this role. That definitely helps. So this person, and I apologize, I don't know the name, and I'm not going to stop to look it up now, doesn't have that. Which is, it's not to say that I think you need it, but it's certainly, I feel like when J.J. Abrams did the Star Trek movie, one of the things that made the new Spock work was the presence of the old Spock. There was kind of, and of course split timelines, which helps too. But the other thing was there was kind of a, acknowledgement of what came before in a way that felt like it was a guiding to the new version. I'm probably bungling that as I explain it, but it makes sense in my head. And so the new guy didn't have that. In the first couple episodes, I'm not going to say I didn't buy him as Spock. That wouldn't be right. But there wasn't enough of what I knew of Spock in there for me to be fully convinced. That's a better way to put it, as opposed to, I don't like him as Spock. It's not that. And then I think what he did was, and this makes sense, as you go on in a role, you learn how to do it better. My guess is that he kind of studied a little bit more of how Spock, or Leonard Nimoy, I shouldn't say Spock like he's a living being, he's not as a fictional character. I think he did a little bit more, not imitation of Leonard Nimoy, but more of sentence structure, kind of where the breaks and the kind of natural speaking patterns were, and incorporated that, and then it kind of snapped into place for me. there was a point where I realized, okay, yeah, he's got the speaking thing down. He's not doing the voice, because, yeah, imitating Leonard Nimoy would not be a smart idea. But he definitely has the cadence right. He has kind of the timing, maybe the better word for it, of how certain phrases are done and said. And that really helped. At that point, once I realized that he'd kind of grasped that and was able to do it, then it became very simple to hear him as Spock and see him as Spock. And then after that, it was great. But and again, everybody in it is good. I don't think anybody in it is not good. We're going to switch layers here. And we're going to go down to a smaller pen size. We're going to go down to a 3. And we're just going to do a little more foldy stuff in here. So just kind of, little squishy wrinkles like this, just to kind of further emphasize what we've got going on here. But you make them different sizes so that they feel a little bit more distinct. And you kind of elongate some of these, kind of have them like supplementing what's there, enhancing maybe is the right word. I don't like the way that one went, so we'll do that. We'll do that. So yeah, Strange New Worlds was, I wasn't sure about what the ending for the season was going to be, because they've kind of, again, I'm not going to go too far into detail. I'll do that when I do the show about the show, the dedicated show, I should say. But I wasn't sure because, they have a little bit of not season-long storytelling, but they have some kind of holdover story from when Pike was on Discovery. And you don't, just incidentally, you don't need to watch Discovery to understand what's going on. That's not a necessity. It's not required viewing as a prequel to this. Certain things will maybe make sense better, but really all you would need to know is who Pike is and the basics of the character. And you can actually go back and watch the original pilot that he was on. Or not the pilot, but, well, I watched both the pilot and the first episode of actual Star Trek, the original series, which is concerning Pike. And I found them both to be very good episodes, and that will basically tell you. But even if you don't know any of that stuff, it recaps it. So don't feel like you have to know much about Trek. I actually think that's also a benefit. Some people may disagree, but I like the fact that this series doesn't really require you to know a lot of the Trek lore. I mean, obviously there are longtime fans. I'm one of them, who know all this stuff outside, but even I don't know every little bit of trivia that some people do. I don't pick up every little thing they're referencing because I don't particularly love the original series the way a lot of people do. It's fine, but I don't adore it. I don't go back and watch it outside of very selective episodes, like the Pike one, either the non-pilot or the was it the Menagerie or the Cage? I think it was the Cage, is the one that. Actually, I think maybe the Cage was the pilot. I don't remember. Whatever. It doesn't. Here's how much it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I get the titles right. I don't care. But in any event, you don't need to have seen any of that stuff. If you did, great. You will spot little Easter eggs and call-outs and stuff that those who didn't see it or don't remember it, like me, did not. And that's fun too. Easter eggs are great. But if you were kind of concerned that, I don't know all of Trek, but I'm hearing this show is good and I like science fiction, and I especially like optimistic science fiction might be the wrong word for it. It doesn't shy away from some heavy stuff, but it's certainly not gloom and doom sci-fi. So if you're in the mood for that, Strange New Worlds does have a very, at times, very light tone and an optimistic tone at times. Not all the time. It does also present bad stuff. There is also loss and tragedy inside the show, but it's far lighter a show in terms of conveying that, it doesn't all have to be misery and war, end of Deep Space Nine, if you will, and that you can have it other things. So I think it functions very well that way. Boy, we got a very foldy set of eyeball sacks here, don't we? But I don't mind. That's great, because it was looking a little spare and bare at the beginning part. So now we're giving it some depth and texture and personality. Not like that, though. So I don't mind these little foldy bits. Let's do this stuff. So yeah, Strange New Worlds is a very easy recommendation for me. I would tell almost anybody, whether you are versed in Star Trek very well or not, to watch it. If you were hesitant because, say, you watched Star Trek Picard or found Discovery wasn't really working out for you over the long term, I would encourage you to watch this because it's a very, very, very different and honestly superior series. I would, without even any hesitation, say it is my favorite of all the new Trek stuff. It is far and away better than certainly Picard. And I would say outside of season 2, I think I like it better than Discovery. Season 2 is basically the Pike show, so it's sort of unfair. But whatever. Life isn't fair. But I greatly enjoy Strange New Worlds, and I hope that because it seems like a lot of people do. It seems like it's being fairly well received. And I hope that that is an indicator, something that Paramount takes note of and goes, okay, people seem to be responding to this, so not only should we make a lot more of this, like this, and not try to change it, which again is not to say that, and here too, Strange New Worlds, just like Discovery, could benefit from doing something a little different every now and then. I would not be against Strange New Worlds having a season-long storyline, but not yet. Keep doing the episodic stuff, with some persistent storylines. That's fine. That stuff I like. But here and there, they could do a two-parter, a three-parter. Something, kind of like Best of Both Worlds. It's going to pay off later and, have some kind of big thing that happens. But not too much of it. It's really good what they're doing here, where they're really using the template of the original Enterprise and its exploration mission to just kind of be able to float in and out of storylines, which is not to say that there aren't lasting ramifications. There absolutely are. But not an adherence to have to try to run a plot and subplots all at the same time and do a bunch of stuff. You can just kind of get in, get out, have a good time, have fun with it, and exit out. That's not a bad thing. Not everything has to be huge and overarching. It doesn't all have to be Stranger Things, which I like Stranger Things, but you do kind of sit there and go, I'm sort of happy I saw something where the Duffer Brothers had said, that that the next season is going to be the end, which is good, because I think, 5 seasons is kind of a magic number. It really is. So I'm happy to see that they're ending it, number 1, so that they have to. These kids are getting too old. Not even really kids anymore. So they're almost penned in by biology, which in this case is a good thing, because the show could easily go way too long. In fact, some people think it already has. I don't agree with that, but I certainly can sympathize that it's the true upside down looming threat is the show going for too long. But they're saying they're going to do spin-off stuff that's going to take place in that same kind of universe. Of course, the thing they have to resist there is to just make it the cameo show where somehow the kids from Hawkins are going to show up, or Hopper or somebody. And they're going to, I know, it's the nature of corporate synergy is that they want to make sure that you remember these guys from before. These are the ones that popularized it, so we have to have them show up. And that's okay here and there if it makes sense from a storytelling perspective, but don't go crazy, which they probably will err on that. I don't trust Netflix's decision-making anymore. I don't think they're particularly good judges of anything. And maybe they never were, but it seemed like for a while there they had better instincts. Not so much these days. But in any event, where was I going with that? Oh, so Stranger Things, I like the idea of doing spin-offs, have something that is in the same universe, but, don't make it another psychic kid. Although I would love to know what happened. I would like to see more stuff with the girl in, was it Pittsburgh? Where was she? The number 8, I think she was 8, was her number. The psychic that 11 ran into in season 2. I thought that character was great. I actually really like that character. I'd like to see more stuff with her. So that would be fine, and maybe that's what they're going for. I sort of 50-50 think that's what they're going to do, because that character seems way too formed and interesting to just leave out like that. Although she might show up in the last season. Maybe she's going to come up and be like a warrior partner for 11. Who knows? Sorry if I'm spoiling season 2 for you at all, but it's not really a spoiler since it starts out with her. So I'm not really too worried about spoiling that. I'm not talking about anything else in the newer season, so don't worry. But I do like the idea that, okay, let's finish off this other season, this other series that we've been keeping going. Let's finish that storyline off. Let's start doing new stuff. Even though, even the upside down as a concept, the more you do with it, the more you're going to have to explain it. And I'll, be curious how they're going to explain some of these things. If they're going to be able to do it well, or if they're just going to kind of hand wave it. I honestly probably wouldn't care if they hand wave it, because I don't know if they're going to have a satisfying explanation for that. I watched the newest season, so maybe they explain it in there. It's possible, but I don't know. Not as bad. Just saying, that there is a good reason why you don't want to over-explain certain things. Because when you start giving reasons for things, you have people that will start to say, well, wait a minute, though. If that's the case, then why X, Y, Z? And you know what? Nobody wants to have to sit there for 2 hours on Twitter debating with those people. So sometimes better to just say, no explanation. Don't think about it too hard. What they did in What We Do with the Shadows, the TV show, when they were showing a girl how to turn into a bat. And she said, well, do I have to take off my clothes? And they said, what do you mean? And she said, well, when you turn into a bat, where do your clothes go? And they said, you know what? Best not to think about it too much. I thought that was one of the best storytelling decisions that show could possibly make. I mean, just fantastic. Acknowledge the fact that you're not going to be able to explain it in any way that makes any sense, and just hand wave it away. That's okay. I don't mind that when it's, oh no, I do mind that though. We can't have that. Not two lines that are that identical. No, thank you. We'll just shave that one. And then we'll go back to here. No, that's not happening, everybody. We ain't having that. So yes, I thought that was great. I was very entertained and impressed that that's the route they went. Just to say, let's not spend a lot of brain power on trying to explain things that honestly nobody really cares about. Because once you start with that, then you have to get into, well, wait a minute, okay. Well, now that you say that, where do the Hulk's pants go when he transforms? Because his pants suddenly become bigger. In the comics, they used unstable molecules to get around that, but honestly, the TV show never did. And it became almost a gag about the pants. And it should be, because, it's not that serious. It's just kind of comic booky stuff, and who cares? And it doesn't have to be all that serious. I know everybody wants to take everything seriously these days, but you know what? Sometimes you can just have goofy fun, and that's okay. That line sucks, so we're getting rid of it. So, how does this eyeball thing survive without a mouth or a nose to breathe? I don't know, and I'm not going to bother explaining it, and I don't care. Because there's a nose and a mouth in the fold somewhere. Don't think about it too hard. Don't think about it too hard. It's not a big deal. Goes back to the thing I was saying on some of the younger streams. Don't worry about rational explanations. Don't worry about having reasons for things. You do what you want to do. Do what makes you happy and just be fine with that, as long as it ain't hurting nobody else. Who cares? Nobody cares. Let's see. You know what? I think I'll finish off the small lines, and that'll probably do it for this particular stream. Let's see here. I'm trying to prop up the iPad in a different way, so hopefully it doesn't impact the audio at all, but I just realized that holding it the way I was in the other streams was not great for my hands, was not very ergonomic. And as I said at the top, I'm trying not to do stupid things that will cause me to have problems later. So we're going to just see how this goes. And if I hear that if there's a lot of audio issues with it, then I won't do it again. I'll figure something else out. But I think we're okay, because the microphone I use has a little meter on it that kind of indicates, what is that? Where did that come from? Oh, it's that. Okay, that's fine. That's easy to get rid of then, just like that. So I haven't seen it, bumping a bunch, which I would expect if there was an actual problem with what I was doing. So I think we're okay. Hopefully we are, because this is a lot easier to do. And I'm not too worried about my hand getting messed up from it. So we'll see. So yes, I was encouraged when they said, oh, well, the next season of Stranger Things will be the last one. Good. End it before it gets bad. Don't be Modern Family, which really overstayed its welcome far too much. Should have ended at season 5 with Mitchell and Cameron's wedding. What a wonderful ending for the show that would have been. But no, they have to keep going because Disney wants money. I know somebody will say, well, it's ABC. Well, ABC is Disney. So I'm sure they were like, well, as long as it's making money and it's getting nominated for Emmys, even if it really isn't that funny anymore, let's just keep going with it. A few shows pull and Everybody Loves Raymond and say, you know what? I think we've told everything we need to. And boy, was that show smart to do, because I realized that show hasn't held up very well. not really great on repeat viewings, I've found. So probably better that show ended when it did. Not that it's not funny, but it's certainly not as funny as I remember it being the first couple times I watched it, which were when it was still on. Does not age well. Certain elements do. Peter Boyle is still very funny as the father, but a lot of stuff just comes off as strangely mean, and not in any one direction or another. I find that at different times, I think that both Raymond and Deborah are both really just cruel to each other for no good reason, or for good reason, but then that makes the other person cruel and mean for no reason. So it's a strange show when you actually kind of break down what's going on in it. So yeah, that show did the smart thing and bowed out. Probably would not have gotten better over time. So I think they did the wise thing there. And I don't want to, I don't want to mischaracterize. It's not a terrible show on a repeat viewing. It's just, oh, there we go. I caught it. It's just not quite as good. That's all. Give me a second here. I'll bring this back. It's only crashed, what, 2-3 times? This has been pretty good overall, I have to say. Okay, let's do this. And I'm going to have to bring the stream to a close anyway because my dog is fidgeting, which generally means that a bathroom break is in order. And that's fine because I'm about done with this segment anyway. Because then we can get into like some color work, and I don't know, I might try to experiment a little bit with this as we go on, since it's not really for anything but just kind of a fun drawing. I might play around with some different color stuff that I don't usually do and see if it completely blows up in my face or not. It might not. We'll find out. Let's do a couple more folds there. No, not that one. That's not good. Let's do one there. Nah, I don't like that. Let's do it over. So yeah, that's better. No logic to any of this really. I'm just doing whatever I feel like doing. Just kind of filling the spaces as I feel they need to be filled. Okay. And so yeah, to get back to my original point, watch Strange New Worlds if you're into science fiction and you haven't for some reason. And if you started watching it and maybe jumped off and you have the same fear I generally do, that a show can't maintain good momentum, which is frequently the case, so your fears are well founded many times. It does. It sticks the landing, which I'm very happy to say that it managed to stick the landing, which is great. Okay. All our lines are in place. So I think that's a good place to bring this stream to a close because we've got all of our nice little lines. So now we've got a really foldy, squishy, whatevery thing, and we're gonna mess around with it now that we're getting into it. But did I put that on the right? I did. Oh, I kept it on the right layers. So yeah, I think that's a good place to bring our stream to a close for this evening. So let me switch back over to my Be Right Back screen. I think maybe I got to make a different thing, kind of a, not we'll be right back, but more of a thanks for watching type of thing, where it's, kind of my what's the word for it? A slow closing as I tell everybody to have a nice evening. So, yeah, so we're back on the eyeballs now. And on that note, I think we'll bring this stream to a close. And as it is Thursday, I will tell everybody, because I don't think I'm going to be streaming tomorrow. Probably not on the weekend. I don't think so anyway. I'm not planning to, unless something comes up. So I will just say that if I don't talk to you before the weekend arrives, have a wonderful weekend. And if you haven't watched Strange New Worlds yet, watch it. And at some point there will be a show on our normal podcast channel about it, which I am very much looking forward to doing. Other than that, have a wonderful Thursday evening, whatever you're doing. Have a nice weekend. And planning to be back next week with the normal streams on the normal days. So until then, hope everybody is safe, happy, and has a wonderful weekend. All right. Good night. Or morning. Or afternoon. Or whatever it is where you are. Take care.